January 7th edition of the Jericho Wastewater Task Force. Before I get started, I'd like to propose a slight agenda change, because I noticed you have a support here from item 6, introduction of discussion of the Jericho Underhill Water District, and I just proposed that we swap 5 and 6. Is anyone opposed to that?
No opposition, yeah. No opposition from Brian.
Maybe not want to sit through all of discussion on 5. Hopefully they do, but at least have the option not to if we do that. Okay, so we're going to do that. And so with that, why don't we do some introduction? I just had this great idea that we should probably do introductions of our task force. My name's Eric Johnson. Yeah, people don't mind.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah. My name is Eric Johnson. I'm the chair of the Jericho Selectboard, and I'm also on this Wastewater Task Force Committee. And looking forward to the next meeting. We can go this way.
Peter Booth, also on the Jericho Select Board, and just a member of the Select Board on this task force.
I'm Tom Johnson. I'm on the task force and part of the engineering subcommittee.
Joe Flynn, Lancer, Larry Burke, Essex Junction, on task force resident, and know a little bit about this.
Justin Willis, I'm licensed wastewater designer and water supply designer, and on the DRB and just design your replacement system. You know that. Because I get around.
Steve Jennings, I'm a board member at the Underhill Jericho Water District.
Joe O'Brien, I live on Maple Ridge Road, almost to Jericho, and I am the chair of the trustees of the Jericho Underhill Water District, about 20 years.
Hi, I'm Kate McCarthy. I'm a senior planner and project manager at the Chittenden County Regional Planning Commission, and I'm serving as a project manager and helper here for the Jericho study.
Chris Shaheen, and a town planner for Jericho and a task force member.
I'm Susan Brzee. I'm a member of the Planning Commission in Jericho and the task force. I'm learning a lot about wastewater as part of this.
Hi, Chris Brown. I'm a member of the Planning Commission and the task force.
Anyone online and would like to introduce themselves? Could you do that? We don't have to if you don't want.
Sure, if you would like. That's suitable. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Hi, my name is Michael Oman. I represent the Wisdom House Group, and we're here to monitor what's going on and provide any assistance we can.
Thank you, Michael. Lynette, right?
Sure. I'm Lynette Gladone. I work for Vermont DEC in the Water Investment Division, and I help villages with wastewater projects.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody. First on the agenda is welcome and review the agenda. So tonight we have opportunity for public comment coming up after this. We're going to look at the minutes and decide whether to approve them from the December 3rd meeting. We're going to do project updates. Then we're going to skip and do the discussion on the Jericho Underhill Water District. Then we'll do the discussion of the 60% PER. And then we'll end with subgroup report outs. So with that, is there any opportunity for public comment? And this would be for items that are not already listed on the agenda that is covered. Okay, moving on. Minutes from December 3rd. Did anyone read them this time? I did too. Any corrections or anything?
None.
Could I get a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve the minutes of December 3rd.
Peter Booth makes the motion.
I will second it.
Chris Brown seconds the motion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Minutes are approved. Thank you for preparing them. All right, next we have project updates. So we'll start with you, Kate. Review timeline sequence.
Yeah, so as we've been doing the last several meetings, this is to get us oriented. So where we are in the process. Big red star shows that we are here at the beginning of Q1, a whole new year, 2026. And most recently, we've received, really just 5 days ago, we've received 60% preliminary engineering report, which was expected by the end of the year. So delivered basically on time. Thank you, Chris Shaheen, for your persistence in making that happen. So I added something to this chart that we haven't seen before, the green and the yellow dot there that the arrows are pointing to, because I've come to understand that at the 60% PER, there are decisions to be made about how to focus in the rest of the PER, what alternatives need to be studied further. And so I've illustrated that as a yellow decision point, and eventually, after this group has processed the information, a select board action on how to proceed. So that's the only difference on this chart from what we've seen before.
What would the select board action be?
I think, Peter, that will likely be answered when we discuss, when we work our way through the PER. But there were some in the conclusion, there's some options that we have that we can do kind of in parallel as they continue on towards the 90, but also we can kind of give them a little direction of how we want the 90.
That's what I was wondering, is it like, hey, why don't you bail on this and kind of focus on this?
Okay, that was my question. Yeah.
That's an overview of the timeline.
Select board liaison report is me and Peter. I don't think we have anything to report since the last select board has been very budget focused in December. So I don't think I'm sure we gave updates to the board from this, but I don't think we had a lot of anything meaningful to bring back here for this meeting.
Did you get anything back from your most recent board forum posts?
No, the only one I got with one woman was not sure if her survey response made it in because she submitted it after the date, and I was able to confirm with somebody that we did indeed get it. That's the only response that I've gotten so far.
Next question. The working draft, though, that the select board has in hand includes funding for potential funding for potential continued work.
In the budget,
Project, right?
Yeah. It's for the upcoming budget discussion that we're doing now, which will be voted on town meeting day. There is a line item in the, what do you call it, 27, 28.
26,
26, 20,
no,
27,
28.
27, 28 budget that gives us some money.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's very confusing talking about budget. As far as what year it is. So yeah, nothing to bring back there. Questions? Great question. Next is status of the Clean Water State Revolving Fund application. State, Chris, do you have any updates for us?
I do. We just got an email today from the state with the loan agreement package from the bond bank.
Nice.
So we will start finishing up the paperwork to complete that process. There are a number of things that have to be signed, but I'll work on that with Paula.
Great. And looks like you're also up for the planning grant application completion.
Oh, yeah. So I think everyone remembers that we were awarded a grant to do the scenario development and physical analysis for a build out for Riverside. We had wanted to work directly with CCRPC to identify a consultant that would have helped us let us go more quickly in finding a consultant. And we just received approval from DHCD to get a waiver that we needed to do that. So that was a big accomplishment. And we have a meeting scheduled January 20th with CCRPC, just continue that discussion and hash that out. And then we should be hopefully going to the select board on February 5th with that agreement with CCRPC for approval. Or the formal agreement that we need to do.
With the MVG.
That the 30,000, the project is 50,000. 30,000 is being paid for through the grant, and 20,000 is coming out of the wastewater money that was set aside for this year.
And Chris, I've got you also on the last update item, which is shareholder outreach updates.
Yeah, so the only update for this, so what I've started doing is I'm just listing all of the stakeholders that we have reached out to and putting them up on the slide so we can keep tabs and keep in touch with them. There is an addition this time, which is the Jericho, I should say, Underhill Water District. This here.
Sorry.
Go underwater.
Yeah.
That's the wrong message.
Yeah, if we get that taken care of. And they're on our agenda, so we'll talk about that. Great.
Would this list at some point include Greg Taker?
He is Old Mill Properties.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So yes,
Yeah, excellent.
that's my only update for stakeholder outreach.
Great, thank you for those updates. Questions on those updates? Okay, so we already did introductions, so discussion with Jericho Underhill Water District.
You're fine, you're fine.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Didn't miss anything.
We don't have a lot to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, we have interest, a lot of interest because of the infrastructure that we have and the infrastructure that it would take to put a system in. We feel that we have a good handle on what our infrastructure is. We have a great source of water. We have some great capacity for water that we're not really touching at all. We've had some interest in expansion up Poker Hill, but we just don't have the funding or enough people that would hook onto our system to continue any further expansion.
Because they have wells. And
They have wells that aren't doing very well also. They're seasonally, the horse stable that's up there, they continually have problems with their well running out. And that's what the interest is there.
But people who aren't interested say, I have a well, it works fine, I don't want to buy it.
We haven't approached them.
So,
Yeah.
quick question, the wells that are having trouble, are they more of the older, dug wells?
Yeah.
More of a spring type?
Yeah.
Not a drilled well?
Yeah. And up on the hillside.
Yeah.
You spoke of having plenty of supply. Could you speak to what your supply is? Do you have a giant well? Do you have
We have two drilled wells, 400 feet, into an aquifer that we've had engineered. That engineers tell us that it's one of the best aquifers because of the type of gravel that's in that aquifer coming all the way down the valley from Underhill Center and coming off of Mount Mansfield. I don't have the capacity for what we pump now. But
yeah, I was just curious. There were wells there. If you were
we pump about 42,000 gallons a day.
How much, sorry?
42,000.
That's what you're currently using.
Yeah.
And you think you have capacity for a lot more.
Quite a bit more. Yeah.
Cool.
How many customers?
We have about 310 customers, which includes the two schools, which are fire protected. We also they do have the fire protection through our system. Jolly's has it also, and I think one of the churches does also. Sprinkler store as well. The Jericho store has a sprinkler system too. Yeah. So
if you don't want to answer this question, feel free not to. But
yeah.
On average, if you had to guess, what would it of those 300 customers? What do they pay like a year or a month for water supply?
We have a base fee of $57 just for the privilege of being part of our system.
And that's a month.
And that's quarterly.
Quarterly.
Yeah. And then we charge by the 1,000 gallons, another $5 in 60 cents.
They
1,000
all have meters.
Yeah. Depending upon the household,
Right now, with three of us in the house, my bill just arrived today, $119 for the quarter.
yeah.
And when we had 6 people in the house, it was up like 160 a quarter.
Most of our 2-person and 3-person houses are their bills around $85 a month, $90 a quarter, not a month. I'm sorry, not a quarter. Yeah. And so, I think, we're running a very reasonable system for providing that water. Quality of water.
So it sounds like if housing were to increase in this area by 150 or 200 units or more, that the capacity is there for that.
Yeah, we've already, like, for instance, at the mill site, or the original numbers that were there, around 150 units in there. We've already studied that, and we have the capacity for that, for those 100 additional.
And the engineer working on that project estimated we have like over 400,000 gallons a day capacity.
Yeah.
Excess capacity, which is significant.
400,000,
Yeah.
and they're using 42,000.
Right. So
Right.
10 times.
Jesus, jeez.
Oh, you could do 3,000 homes.
When you say you have 310 customers, are those billing addresses?
Yes.
Right, okay.
Gonna have meters,
Not bodies.
maybe serving
Yeah,
us.
yeah.
Do you have a sense of how many of those are Jericho and how many are Jericho?
I would say that it's 2/3 Jericho, because we have all of Raceway down to the bridge, down that way. And then we go to the bridge on Route 15. We don't go across the bridge on Route 15 headed towards Jericho. And then
The service area up there, that's current.
I want to make sure my note was right. It was determined that you had capacity for 400,000 gallons a day.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
So what's your staffing like? What does it take to run and support, maintain?
We have an engineer from Waterbury, Simon's Operating System, who is the licensed operator for our system. And they provide the technology, the testing for us that we need to do some of the testing. And then we have a part-time assistant operator who does most of the testing and daily testing. So Simon Operating Systems, we spend about $400 a month for their service, their certification, and we spend probably another $400 a month, something like that, for our assistant operator.
That's really interesting to know because, again, this is early. We're in the study phase for a wastewater system, but one of the things that's been pointed out in the preliminary engineering report is Jericho doesn't have a wastewater system right now and would need to come up with some way to operate it, whether it's kind of a fractional thing like is done, or whether it's a collaboration with another entity or something else entirely.
And I think Richmond's an example of that change that happened in Richmond when they brought in a wastewater system. They had their own water board, but I think the water board also took over the management of the wastewater system. So it's doing both. The city or town does the both.
So are you saying you run our wastewater?
No, I'm not. No,
Is the Richmond Water District, is that a town entity? Is that a municipal entity?
I believe it is, yes. Yeah.
So that's different. You guys are not,
We are a municipality.
but you're not part of the town, neither town.
Neither
You
town.
aren't under either town.
Right, we are. That's correct. Yeah.
Have you ever pursued and received grants and funding as a municipality?
Yes. Yeah. For the same revolving fund that you were talking about earlier, we've done some improvements with that. Some infrastructure improvements.
And do you have a capital plan, long-term capital plan? And how far out do you project approximately?
We're 25 years out.
So 20 years is incredible service to the community. That's
Yeah.
really, thank you very much. What keeps you at it? For that?
The other two members don't want me to finish up. We do have a Jericho board member also. So we're happy to have a representative from both, from both towns. Tanner Palmer, I don't know if any of you know Tanner, lives right by the Jolly's store. What else could I ask?
I have another staffing question.
Yeah.
Do you have an admin person that handles your billing and?
We have a clerk, treasurer, who does our billings and receipts payable and payroll.
Is that a part-time or?
Part-time, yeah.
Part-time paid.
Part-time paid, part-time work, yes.
Sorry.
What are some of the hardest things about running a municipal water system?
The hardest thing was finding a licensed operator. There are fewer and fewer operators these days that are around that are licensed to do the work. And so Simon Operating Systems out of Waterbury is a group of engineers who got together and said, we'll provide you with the license to run your system, but we won't be doing the day-to-day operations. And they run systems all over the Northeast, down through Rutland, Middlebury. And they do have people that, if we call them, they'll come and help us. That's a great support, some very knowledgeable people that work for them.
So do you have in-house expertise for maintenance and repairs? And
We have a retired engineer who we hired for our assistant operator. We're very lucky to find a former state employee, an engineer for that works for us and does the day-to-day maintenance. And then we use Mark Mayhew, whose father and that whole family started the water system. Mark is a great consultant for us, and he does our webpage and takes care of our computer work.
And do you have, for determining your fees, that's based on your operating expenses and some margin or future reserves? How do you do the math?
When we develop a budget, after we've done the budget, we look at how much money we need to raise to support that budget. And some years we've increased the budget by 3%, other years we have not. We generally look at what inflation is. We increase our salary pay according to inflation. And we've tried not to increase our fees in great amounts.
Would the fee the same residential or commercial? It's purely based on usage, or do you differentiate?
It is. The only difference is if you have a sprinkler system, there's another fee for providing that water for the sprinkler system. But the commercial in like the Browns River Middle School and the Underhill ID School, it's the same price.
Have both of you been been a trustee since it was established, since the water district was established?
The water system?
Yeah.
I have.
So were you part of a process like what we're going through now, 20 years ago?
I was. We were in 1971.
So more than 20 years.
Yeah, way more than 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's a long time to remember.
It is.
But was there anything that stood out for you during that process, since we're doing something similar and looking at establishing a system that you might have done differently, or you have advice for us?
I remember that interacting with a couple board members when they came up and surveyed our hill of the 14 houses of who was interested in joining the system. And I remember having discussions with Leanne Dumas and Harold Sargent to former board members. And so they collected our names out of the 14 houses on our hill. There are 12 people that selected to be on the water system.
Who initiated the system? Who initiated the, let's make a district here and do this?
What initiated, Peter, was that there was a small group of houses where your house is along Route 15 that was being served by the pond where Sharon, behind the Damcott's house.
Yeah.
And that pond was a source for water that was being treated. And it was just, with septic systems and everything else along that way, it just wasn't working. So they ended up drilling 5 wells on the west side of Route 15 up in Underhill, just before you get to Roaring Brook Road on the back. So we had 5 wells out there, but then we were not getting the good capacity that we needed and wanted. So we had 2 new wells drilled right by Browns River, right on the border between Jericho and Underhill.
Did you have to buy permission to drill those wells from the property owners?
We bought the land, yes.
You bought the land.
We bought the land from Nate Sullivan. That's not Nate Sullivan, the farm this side of Nate. Nope, no, he's coming this way.
Yeah.
He used to run the trash business in Jericho.
Orgo?
Oh,
Guay's.
yeah.
Steve Guay. We bought the land from Steve.
So where the access to the aquifer is the land that you own at your water district.
We have a right of way. Yeah, we have a right of way, and then there's a duplex on the same driveway.
How did you get the money to buy the land?
We borrowed the money in a bond. Bought the land, drilled everything. They borrowed the money.
So you said there were 14 property owners.
Just on our hill.
Were they did the system just start with 14?
No, they did the same thing all along the village. Members were soliciting those people who wanted to become part of the system.
But you weren't involved in it. Right?
No, I was a customer.
You were they came and said, "Hey, Joe, we're doing this. You want to buy in?"
Yeah.
And you were like, "Yeah, we're in." You weren't part of the solicitation. You
No.
were being solicited.
No, we had just built a house.
Yeah.
We built the house, and then in 1971, just at the same time the water system was going in.
Who voted to approve the bond? The customers, the potential customers of the district
Yes,
became the financial guarantors,
Yeah.
basically,
Yeah.
of the transaction. And what, do you remember how much it was at the time?
I don't remember. I know it's 30 years.
Your bond is 30 years.
We paid $30,000 a year. So I don't know exactly what it was, how much it was for.
Do you guys get record blood stuff? You can tell we're like, oh wait, they've done this.
Right.
Or is there any records going back that we can look at and kind of just get a sense of
How it started?
what
we
the
have
process was and
we have a history that Peter Mitchell has written.
It's on your website.
Yeah, it is on our website. Yeah.
Was it a nail biter getting the bond approved, or was it pretty much everybody
No.
wanted it and the money worked and it seemed like no brainer?
People wanted it. Yeah.
Even then, it's cheaper than drilling a well.
Right, but also it's clean water. You know, it's kind of life or death in a way.
Yeah.
If your pond is no longer serving, you kind of have no choice.
So as you see us getting underway, what do you think we should bear in mind as this group studies the possibility of a wastewater system and works with community members to think about the benefits and the cost?
Well, I think, you've done a survey. I know that people have responded to that. And I think that's one of the things that you just have to keep communicating with people that are potentially going to be part of the system. The other question that I have is, Steve just replaced his, did his system just in Underhill, just up from the town line. And I think there are Underhill people that could be very interested also to be part of this.
Yeah.
So, and that's going to be a question I think people may have.
Mhm.
You know, if,
Spread the word that the task force would like to hear from those folks,
Yeah.
because certainly there
Yeah,
are
absolutely.
sort of municipal policies or projects that might support or not support a system, but it'd be very interesting to know from individuals
yeah,
who have needs.
for sure.
What can we tell you about the study? What would be helpful?
I think I followed it somewhat, you know, in what I could see from the site, the Jericho site. I don't know. I just very interested in watching it develop, and the interest in it, because you know, even where I am on the hillside, we have such terrible soil that our system, which I built in 1971, I know that it's going to need changing.
You're on the same system from 71?
Yeah, luckily.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Mine was from 55, so.
And you just did it.
Well drained soil.
Yeah.
Really good soil.
Yeah, his is different. Yeah.
I was very fortunate to have the soil that I've got, because across the field, the guy was paying another 20,000 extra for a sound system.
How much do you interact with the select boards of Jericho and Underhill, and how much are you very much independent, do your own thing?
We're pretty independent. The only thing I do with Jericho is I provide them with our yearly annual report that I submit to Pam. Is it Pam or Paula? Paula, and then another one to Underhill, to Jericho Underhill.
And are you obligated to provide that report, or are you good neighbors?
Both towns are very generous to put it into their annual reports. So very happy to have it in the annual report.
And do you receive any financial support from the towns?
No, we don't.
You coordinate it all with the Jericho Village Water District?
We don't. I've had discussions with people who live on both the Jericho Village one, Foothills, and what's the one, the 14 person up off of, you and I were talking.
Milo White Road.
Milo White. Our friend there.
Yes.
Or your friend.
Yes.
So, there you go. So I have, and you know, the speculation is that one of these days, Champlain Water District could come in and run all of our systems and bring them together quite easily. It's already up at the high school, parts of Jericho. And
That would basically be an administrative consolidation.
yeah.
It wouldn't replace your source or your conduits or
it
anything.
would just be a matter of running the system, you know. Instead of each of us having to have an operator, you know, have an assistant operator, it would be, you know, the whole Champlain Water District could run it. So we've had some discussions about that.
Would you be in favor of that?
I'd be very willing to look at it. Yes. Yeah.
Is Champlain interested in that? You know?
I have not approached them about it. I'm not sure if they would be or not, Peter. Not sure.
One thing I'll add is that there isn't ever enough ways to inform people. Yeah. You're still gonna get people like, I never saw this. We do front porch forum, you know, signboards when we're flushing hydrants. Emails once in a while.
We're trying.
And flyers that go out, so. We try to keep people abreast of what we're doing, you know, because we always get that call like, my water's brown, and like, you know, we've had signs up for 3 days. So, yeah.
Basically, your bottom line is that overall you would have better financials and more stability if you had more customers because you have excess capacity. Like, why would you want more customers? What benefit would that be for you?
Financially, it would not be a benefit
We're not
for
really
us.
in the money.
It's just providing us.
Right, as I said, like you did, there's no benefit, just we have plenty of water.
Yeah.
You can have it too. You're gonna pay, we'll get more money, but we're using more water and.
Yeah.
Your bill go down if
Right.
the number of customers.
You don't pay for
It could be.
Yeah.
There could be some calculus there.
It sounds
Suppose
like
it
you have,
depends on how many pipes you need. If you can
What it
serve
costs.
a third more
Right.
people with the
Yeah.
existing pipes, that's one thing. But if you have to double the amount of pipes for a third more people, that's different.
it sounds like you have the major part of your infrastructure already in place. It would just be the pipes. So, yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about.
Connection.
But yeah, but there's the pipe running down 15, right?
Yeah.
So
Everything is
Like for grain, it would be
60 years old too, so every once in a while, we've got a major break. Every time something happens at one hydrant, it can ricochet down the water, you know, you get a water hammer and blow a line somewhere else, so we've got an old system.
But you wouldn't be running new pipe from the wells to the riverside
No.
area, okay.
No.
Like for the riverside, you just cut it from 15, right?
Yeah. The Riverside area where everything is there, they need to get supply. We have an 8-inch line that when Villeneuve sold to
Right.
Tetro, Villeneuve put in an 8-inch line that goes in right by the market. So that's ready to supply that whole area in that phase 1 area.
Do you guys have enough pressure to cross Route 15 and come this way? Move
Yeah.
across the river and so on?
Yep. We just had some testing done and we had some were you there at the testing?
I wasn't, but I know we did it twice, right?
Yeah, we did it twice. We had some real high pressure.
My we had dialed back up. So strong. We have a valve to like slow it down in my house.
Out in the raceway, I had to have that. Raceway's on a hill out at the bottom, you know, we had to.
We got it down. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Not raceway, foot, yeah.
Do you have you had conflicts with other utility lines in the right of way that you have to work out? Is there gas?
No, it was the sidewalk going in that they put in the Underhill side. We had a number of right of ways that we had to get, that the town had to get, but we didn't have any issues with it.
Are there? I couldn't remember where the gas lines are. If there are gas lines that serve.
They were very close. They're very close running.
And do you ever have
Up and down.
conflicts with?
No.
Okay.
The gas people are very good about checking in with us to be sure where the lines are and everything.
One of the things flagged in the preliminary engineering report that we're looking at tonight is keep an eye out for the water lines. So just under the construction considerations, that was even though it's obvious, it was put on paper. We agree with that.
Yeah.
That's important.
Good question. The company I work for, Larry Burke, we did all your mapping.
That's right.
Is it all right if we share that information with Du Bois and King to assist them with their design?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to recommend that if the committee wants to see that I give Larry Burke the permission to do that.
Appreciate it.
We've done that in the past.
What I'll do is I'll get the contact from the website with you guys. You'll be on the email. I'll send stuff to John Ashley and you guys CC.
Good.
There is not a complete set yet.
We need to have you back.
Yeah, because there are kind of ends halfway up a driveway, so some of the stuff you may look for may not be on those.
Okay.
So we'd have to.
Well, we have one digital AutoCAD drawing, one big drawing that I'm just gonna ship that to them. Nothing to do with paper. So they can take it and drop it in right on their survey. So they should land like this.
Yeah.
For that.
Great.
But I wanted to get your permission and it's just been kind of lagging, so
No, I'm glad you could do that.
thanks.
Okay, I think we definitely went over time on that. That was fast. That was super helpful. Fascinating conversation. Appreciate it. Moving on is the discussion of the 60% PER. And Kate and Justin and Tom are going to help us speak this. You gentlemen are welcome to stay through this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let us know, if any other time that you need any more information. Glad to help.
Thank you.
Right, up, we give tours too, so if you want to see our
Yeah.
operation, you got, it's minimal.
Yeah. Maybe when there's more than 8.5 hours of daylight, well, sure, that's great. All right, so the next item on the agenda here is we're gonna talk about the 60% PER. And I just wanna level set, people say sometimes, where are we in the process? We saw our timeline, but where are we with the 60% PER? And I invited the engineering team, and I'll invite Lynette as well to chime in as I go along. I'll do my best to give an overview. Their first deliverable, we got it on January 2nd. It's a draft. It's a conversation starter. It's also a decision point. We talked a little earlier about how we're going to be reviewing this to see, is anything missing? Is there anything we haven't thought of yet? What do we want to design further? The goal at the end of the PER is to know whether the project is one that you want to pursue into final design. So if there are questions you want answered in order to accomplish that, this is when we can identify those questions and get them answered. Since this is kind of an important moment, it occurred to me that we will probably want to put together some public outreach on this, front porch forum posts. I'd like to do a summary for the website. Maybe we have open houses. Maybe let's talk about that as a group, but it could be worthwhile. And this would be the point at which people could have influence because it can still be shaped. So today, I'm going to provide a high-level review of the PER to the best of my ability as a non-engineer. I'd like to ask you some questions. I'd like to hear your questions and then talk together about next steps. How does that sound? Okay, here we go. So I just wanted to start with some of the key findings about the project need and benefit. I think we've all had a sense of some of this as we've been going through this, but we've got some numbers here that we can just resurface from the feasibility study. So the study area.
These bullets are all from the feasibility study?
They're from the PER, which filled in pieces of the feasibility study, growing out of the feasibility study. That's right. On the right is a picture of the study area, and there are a number of colorful lines in here. Let me highlight for you. The study area is outlined in red. Your designated village, which is shared with Underhill, is outlined in a solid aqua line. Nope. Yep, that's right. The purple line is a census designated place, which it's like a unit of measurement for the census. It's like a little village or hamlet. So there's data available within that line. So basically the study area is the designated village center plus a 1/4 mile buffer. It's 1/4 mile, right? And that's the dashed aqua line. But then we pulled in some parcels where it made sense to have them. So that's what we're looking at. Within that, you've got 177 existing parcels, about 354 acres. An estimated 85% are residential. We just heard about the water service to that area. Based on a desktop analysis, looking at permits, looking at site constraints, looking at environmental constraints, an estimated 29% of properties have potential limitations for replacing their on-site septic when and if it fails.
That doesn't mean that they can't replace them on site.
But it doesn't mean that they can't replace them on site. Can you say more about that?
That's what we do, you know, a lot of sites are not compliant, like Steve's. He had excellent soil, but he couldn't satisfy all the isolation requirements and boundaries, for instance. I've done some on Willow Lane where one particular comes to mind where we use advanced treatment, we build a mound system, we throw money at it, and it works great.
Okay.
It just costs more. If sewer was running by that house, they would probably rather hook on. But when you run, if you pose the question to Steve, he's not here to answer this, but if I were him, I would say, I don't want to hook on the sewer. I have beautiful gravel soil, well drained, lots of area.
Okay. All right. So potential limitations.
When you say,
okay,
you know, there are limitations, doesn't mean they can't be overcome.
Okay. I'm writing down subjective and throw money.
I like a challenge. There's only 2 properties I can think of in over 30 years that I couldn't come up with a plan. And they were on the lake, and it was bedrock, and we did holding tanks.
All right.
Which isn't practical for us.
That's super helpful.
That is
I had that same question the other day in our meeting. Like, what does that mean? What does
Yeah.
it mean? Like,
You just have to spend more money.
yeah, I get
That's
that.
really what it means.
Great. Thank you. So then again, maybe this has some subjectivity to it, but something that they determined in the PER, an estimated 44% of properties have systems that have reached their expected lifespan of about 40 years. This will increase to 72% of systems in 20 years. And a lot of times in a PER, they will mention the priority parcels, and those might be clustered. In Waitsfield, that was the case. The priority parcels in Jericho are not clustered, they're more distributed. So there isn't one specific neighborhood or geography that has markedly more need than others. Okay, next slide, please. This is a lot of words, but I did just want to put this up there. You recall that there was a property owner survey for the feasibility study, and then again for the PER. In the first survey, about 2/3 of respondents indicated interest in a potential future connection. In the 2025 survey, we got a little more granular information, but about 56% are interested in connecting of the people surveyed. 22% response rate, so it's not everybody. We have to keep talking to people about what they need. 10% not interested in connecting right away, but maybe later.
So, quick question.
Yeah.
In regards to those who respond to their interest in connecting, do we have a plan, a simple plan that says this one, this one, this one, so we can ask?
I don't know if we've had that geocoded yet. I don't know if we've had that put on a map, so that, but that would be really interesting.
People give addresses?
People were invited to give their addresses, but not required. Yeah.
Because again, for questions I'll have probably later on, is, you know, when we look at build out on this, is, you know, do we
They're all clustered in one area. Oh, perfect.
that's what I mean.
85% in this area too.
If you look at situation, not to get too far ahead, but if you look at value, I mean, we've got one situation where we're trying to bring service to Valley. I think Valley View, Raceway, you know, they've got huge open space right next to them with good natural oils.
Mhm.
You know, so the question becomes there is it economical to put the infrastructure there when they can take care of the whole thing themselves if they wanted to? So that's what, when you bring that up, who responded, who wants it, it's really nice to see, maybe we can take this and make it a good compact service to start out with.
Thank you. That's great feedback. And I'm keeping lots of lists. One is questions for D and K to formulate the next phase of the report. So great. That's great. Common questions around cost, location of the treatment, and whether it would smell, concern about disruption to people's landscaping, how it would impact property value. So really good questions from folks about the system. All right, next slide, please.
Got a quick question.
Oh, yeah.
Does it smell?
You're told no.
But I mean, it doesn't, like, what? Does it, like, you put a septic system wherever, and the leach field, whatever, all the parts,
Not supposed to.
there's no smelling, right?
Yeah, this is working. It's not-
Yeah.
If it doesn't fail, if it fails, then you're smelling it.
Right. Tom, you manage one of these systems, right?
Later on, when we go through the perceived
Right, that's,
problems, every time there's a proposed leach field or in a playing field. It's been proposed all over the state. People get very concerned about their kids playing on top of the leach field.
Right.
So we need to, you know,
explain that away.
have to explain it.
If you, Peter, if there's a good sized pump station with a vent, you're standing next to the pump station, you're gonna smell it.
Unless it's carbon filter.
Yeah. I think you manage a system in your.
Oh, I have a carbon filter, like literally in my backyard, and it's basically zero odor in 20 years. I've had to plug some holes, covers.
So, that's why we say that.
But to Peter's point, being able to get out in front of that.
And everybody's
The answer is no.
I'm not gonna ruin Hills Riverside Park, but the leach field's gonna stink and ruin the park for everybody. Well, it's not.
Right.
Thank you.
If that was the case, it'd be happening at the middle school every day.
Right.
And
Or in every neighborhood.
Right, everyone's backyard.
Does your house smell? Does your house
Right,
smell?
right.
Only when it's being pumped.
All right, next slide, please. Just to remind you kind of what we're talking about, we've been talking about existing development and future development. These are the capacity needs that, or assumptions that the PER is using for a total of 144.8. a little over 80,000 for existing development, the rest for future residential and future commercial.
And what is the future of, can you give me some numbers around, not you, are there numbers? I looked for them and didn't see,
Like how many
like,
homes,
yeah,
bedrooms,
right, future residential, that 800,
I think it's 225
Yeah, but,
new housing units in Riverside
right.
is the assumption. It's based on, yeah, it is page 17.
There you
It's
go.
based on the resolution of the Jericho Selectboard Housing Construction Goals. It estimates 20-year growth of residential. This is over a 20-year period is the estimate. 600 new housing units in town, and it's assumed that 225 will occur in Riverside. That's a very rough estimate.
big, yeah, that.
Chris or Susan, do you remember what Greg Taylor's plan? I couldn't
That
remember.
was 160.
I was gonna
have
say-
that number in my
I was
head.
gonna say 165. So
Yeah.
it's fine. Phase one.
The other thing
I think phase one is
60,
60,
yeah.
but there's additional.
I was unsure about their commercial estimate because they just use the same ratio as the residential and I found that, I guess I'm doubting whether that, or I'm questioning whether how accurate that quantity is and
The commercial number?
yeah, they just said, well, we use the same 11% or something that they use for the residential and there's almost no commercial. There's not a lot of commercial there now. So I would have expected, given the mixed use neighborhood we're looking
It's great,
that it
way
would-
more, way
Yeah,
more,
So I
percentage wise.
So if it's 85-15 now, you might, if you're dartboarding it, you might say 70-30, 60-40, not 85-15,
Right.
which is what this is for
Right.
20 years.
So I was gonna, I guess, question that. And I don't know what volumes commercial uses require, but it was kind of business, but
We'd have to talk with someone to base that assumption on, because what they base it on is.
right.
But even just for data to communicate to the board of the king, like, hey, the commercial's not non-existent, but it's much, we expect it to grow percentage wise way more than residential will. Can you reflect that a little bit in your numbers, even just spitballing, just reflect it more in one way?
Twice as much.
Right, okay,
Okay.
And then it'd be 70-30.
right.
Okay.
I think the
I know.
scenario should
Yes.
touch on.
So what area?
The development scenarios, the study that we're doing,
Yeah.
the additional study that we're
Yeah.
doing will get into that.
The $50,000, the 30.
Yeah.
If we're lucky, we're gonna get another. Car.
Exactly.
Say,
We like,
oh,
oh,
or something.
Just gonna say that.
And they're gonna use plenty of water, so plenty of heat.
Yeah, but how does how do restaurants and so on, how are they with usage on? Wastewater? Yeah.
It's, yeah, you can, a restaurant can consume wastewater equivalent to dozens of homes, you know. We know that.
There's the trade-off, if we decide to bring commercial in.
It has to be, the allocation has to be decided upon early on, I think, as far as what you wanna potentially reserve for commercial. I would say.
Oh.
Cause if you get one commercial business, if it's a free for all, one business comes in, could take 75% of capacity.
I think that's a great point, and it's a policy issue, and it's also a design issue.
That's what was gonna happen.
Yeah.
I guess now is that the need only, that's only for Jericho, does not include Underhill?
Correct.
So I think the Boys and King, they were assuming 5,000 gallons a day for commercial, but what would that even cover?
You have to go through the use chart to see if, pull that up a second.
Yeah.
Probably go there a few times. You might go to that site a few times.
Yeah. Well, me, I don't do much commercial.
The calculation is just like, it's like you serve 2 meals a day, and so you have X number of seats, and you need 1.5 gallons per seat per day per meal, it's a math thing. I think 5,000 is not very much.
Yeah, I just didn't know if you know off the top of your head, oh, what 5,000 would be a gas station in a bank?
It's
Can you send me a link?
Restaurants like 15 gallons a day per seat in a restaurant per seat, but then you have to add for dishwashers and all that stuff adds up.
Well, maybe we can get a copy of a chart. If you find a good kind of 101 on that, you can send it to me. I think that would be useful to show when you're tabling, I won't be there, on January 20th, just to help people wrap their heads around what those trade-offs are. If we want a restaurant and it takes this many gallons, and what does that mean for residents? How do we think about this as a community? So those are the assumptions they're working with. So I've made a note for Dubois and King to sort of question the status quo assumption about commercial. Maybe think about a 70-30 split instead of 85.
And are we feeling okay about their residential projections?
So far, I think I will make another note that those residential projections, which they based on local goals, also will be informed by the build-up study.
But the local goals weren't based on, Greg Tatro's site plan or what kind of volume that could be there. And so two related questions, I guess. One is, does Greg Tatro's projection of what was it, 160 or whatever, is that based on on-site septic only, or is that based assuming that there was going to be some municipal?
I think that's why he has this phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1 assumed on-site, phase 2 assumed municipal.
Oh, really?
And so his build out was based on like the land and the frontage and the lot sizes and where the streets would be and stuff like that.
Because this phase one has an open space in the middle,
And does his
as they're using for septic.
160 assumes some 3-story buildings and
Yeah, it was like a mix of single family duplexes, you have a couple of apartment buildings, but some of the apartment buildings were in phase 1. So it's one of the questions would be like, what would he do if there were no municipal system?
Right,
What
yeah.
would he do?
Right.
What would be the plain vanilla capacity of that site? If there were no-
on-site only.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
All right, I've noted that question. I think that is probably something we need to get clear information on. We've all had that question. So yeah, I'll dig. Yeah.
100-seat restaurant with serving 3 meals a day would be 4,000 gallons a day. 4,000.
Seems pretty modest.
I think it's low.
100 seats isn't much.
I feel like a lot.
That'd be a lot for a village.
Or per Jericho.
Yeah,
What's
I
Jake?
feel like,
yeah.
yeah, what's Jake at?
I guess Jake has a good model, so that's a knowable. How many seats, how many gallons, right? As an example.
All right, I think I want to keep going. I guess through this. Next slide, please.
We can find out.
Kate, I did put the table from the rules in the chart, and you can easily find the flow development table by searching for the word dentist.
By searching for the word dentist?
Yeah, otherwise it doesn't appear in the rules.
Intriguing. That was shared in the chat. Can you
Do you
share?
want me to pull that up?
Not right. No, not.
Oh, send it out.
Could you send it out?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Lynette. All right, let's go to the next slide. All right, so key findings. We've talked a lot about the test pits at the Browns River Middle School. I think you took that picture, Justin.
Water in the hole?
Water in the hole. So yeah, high groundwater was discovered, and that affects the capacity of each of the 3 sites, A, B, and C, that they tested. Others will know more about this than I will, but I'll try to summarize. Site A, and I'm sorry I didn't get a map, but it's kind of southeast of the school. 2 small-scale systems of 5,500 each, about 1,300 gallons per day. Site B, just north of that, 2 small-scale systems of 6,500 each, 1,300 a day, but would require mounding of an estimated 2.5 feet. And then behind the school, as I understood this in the PER, there's an option for indirect discharge using an experimental system that would require some different review at about 10,000 gallons.
I
I thought that PR said the middle school capacity was between 56 and 62,000.
So that would be, I think,
But those are 3 at 13, aren't they?
It's 39.
Unless
You're
I'm
right.
reading that wrong.
maybe I'm reading it wrong.
Pretty sure they said it was 56 and 62.
And the number on the previous slide was 144.
The total need is, 144.
Yeah.
Yeah, the total is 144. Okay, let's forget about my breakdown and go with the takeaway. And thank you. In the report of the total estimated capacity, which is on, let's see, page. Where does it sum it up? Doesn't. We're getting to know this report. All right. I'm looking at page 27, where it talks about the scenario 1, which includes the middle school site. And it says, based on the test pitting and mounding analysis results, the school site has an estimated potential disposal capacity of approximately 56 to 62,000. Okay, so I'm going to need to modify this slide or delete it, or just talk about the overall amount. I was getting too detailed here. I think for the sake of our conversation tonight, it's just good to know 56 to 62,000. And I'll just apologize for any omissions and fix the slide.
And can anybody remind me what the phase 1, didn't phase 1 in the feasibility study talk about quantities
Of need or
of capacity or my?
No, I have a comment later about phasing, but I don't think this current at the current. I think at some point tonight we'll have some opportunity, maybe not to decide tonight, but at least consider some options that we're going to have that we're going to feed back into D and K for what the rest of the 90% looks like. And one thing that I'm very interested in and hoping I can convince the rest of you is that I really want to hear about some details about what the recommendation is on the phasing.
I thought, maybe I'm mistaken, but I thought there was at some point a general sense of what phase 1 might be. But
I haven't seen that.
okay.
And I don't think we as a select board, when we came up with the idea of phasing, knew really what we wanted other than some way to come up with something quicker to
not spend,
Yeah.
spend $20 million or spend no dollars.
Right. And so that some of the, like with the new zoning changes, there's going to be some development going into Riverside, and we want to catch that. We don't want to build an $18 million system after
They've already done their septic.
Yeah. So that was, those are the two main reasons. But as far as specifics of, hey, we want one that serves 50 homes or 70, we didn't provide, and I don't. We could review it.
I don't think that wasn't that conversation you're talking about, wasn't that after the 90% feasibility? I think
Yes.
it was.
It might have been 100.
Right. I think it was. All of them were like, wait, what? We can do that?
Yeah.
Right. I think that was, so I don't think it was in the feasibility study.
Hey, can you just go back to the previous slide that showed current need and future need? 80 and 55 and 9. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. And I'm sorry that the math didn't work out there. I guess I did this too quickly or missed something. So I'm gonna go figure that out. But like I said, thank you, Chris Brown, for highlighting the estimated total capacity of the site. All right, next slide, please. All right, so this is where I would welcome others chiming in who have read a lot more PERs than I have. You probably saw that there were 4 alternatives evaluated, and these should be pretty familiar from the feasibility study. Alternative 0, do nothing. 1, clustered disposal systems on the middle school and Raceway Road sites. Development of community disposal systems on just the middle school site, or clustered disposal systems on the middle school site and other private disposal sites. Recognizing we have not yet explored other sites, conversations would need to be had with landowners about their willingness.
Am I right? The only difference between 1 and 2 is just that strip along like
I believe I believe that 1 includes the middle school and Raceway. That the other private disposal site is just Raceway. Whereas 3 kind of opens it up a little more, provides a little more flexibility for exploring other sites. Yeah.
Does 3 include the Raceway site plus others?
I don't think it does.
Or they're alternatives to Raceway?
I think it's an alternative to Raceway.
What is it's the Raceway site, the 14-acre piece?
Yeah, it's right there in that picture. No, I'm looking at your computer.
Yeah, right here.
That's Raceway is the.
Yeah,
Gonna be so.
Yes.
yeah, the hover piece.
Are they contacting you?
Yeah.
Yeah. The Raceway site is, yeah.
Yeah, it is
Hover
that
site.
14 acres.
Okay, yeah, Tom.
Well, so scenario 1 is covered, and then
This,
scenario 3 was added to the,
That's right. It was not in the feasibility study.
and that includes a broader range of potential sites.
Is that scenario 3 right there?
This is from the feasibility, this is.
Okay, yeah, everything in that whole zone, yeah, in the area.
But some of these are too remote.
Yeah.
this is where I started to develop some opinions, how I feel about what I perceive as the fork in the road is right here.
Okay.
It's a big deal. You know, these particular options, we've already talked about it too.
Mhm. Can I just say one thing before you
Go ahead.
share your comments?
I'll come back to this.
No, I think we can talk about it as we go because this is the meat of it. I just want to point out something I think you may already know. The 3 types of systems were evaluated. I've listed them there: traditional gravity sewer, septic tank effluent gravity, and septic tank effluent pump. I wish I had pictures of these to show. I do not, but the third one, step, is seen as most feasible for the number of users. In fact, actually, could you advance my animation?
Oh, yes, there we go.
Initial preferred alternatives, according to the report, to best meet the needs of the study area are likely 1 or 3. And the PER finds that a step system is likely the best given technology, given infiltration requirements, number of users, and cost. So I just wanted to say that we are not evaluating 4 alternatives for 3 system types each. We're not evaluating 12 different alternatives. We're really, it's really more narrow because step is the most likely. That's how I read it. I don't know. Does that sound right to you, Tom?
Yeah. Scenario 2 is really not an option because the school district properties do not meet all
Right,
needs.
that's why I read it. Right.
Mhm.
And do nothing doesn't do much for the environment.
The 2 is just part of the solution, not the full solution.
It was developed as a solution, but it's really, I mean, it doesn't, you can't just take all the needs and.
You know, but it seems to me that 2 would be a potentially great option for a phased approach.
Right.
Because it would be easier
First
to
step.
provision for the land there, and it would maybe have capacity for the first phase.
Right. What I was thinking was 3 is our approach for the whole thing. And phase 1
would do scenario 2, then do scenario 1, then do scenario 3.
Tom has his hand up.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
so
don't want to race
in
past just.
this PR is that the school district property will not meet all needs. It will not accommodate new development plus backup existing systems. So treatment capacity is precious, land is precious. The question I would ask, what does the town consider to be the highest priority? Community development, new community development, or backing up existing systems? Can't really do both on the school district problem.
Right. Coincidentally, that's what I was asking about the numbers. New in that previous slide, not including commercial, is 55,000 was the requirement. And the capacity of the school is 56 to 62. So they're closely aligned.
Yeah, I noticed that.
So the school would cover new, well, all hypothetical.
All hypothetical, yes, just in terms of getting our
Hands around.
numbers and the phasing and the
Size.
priorities, but regardless of the priority, my understanding though also is that funding really wants to see that it's not based on only new, because that seems to risky.
Well, that was a question I had for Lynette in terms of getting financing for the system. If it was just looking at, is what Susan's saying a criteria related to CWSRF funding?
Yeah, so we can support some growth, but we can't just do entirely um, new opportunities. That's more on the economic development side where you'd find funding for that. The other thing is too, as you're creating a utility, you still need users to pay for it. So it wouldn't necessarily make sense to do something that didn't have users ready to go.
So what was just side conversation in the room was CHIP is suitable for new development, whereas the Clean Water State Revolving Fund could support existing development. So as we're thinking about phasing, there's the engineering phasing and the funding phasing, and that could be very tidy. Right. Justin, I realize I asked you to hold your thoughts, and I don't want to forget to get back to you. Oh, good. I see your paper. Good.
A significant concern I have with the funding section in this PER is that there are zero references to CHIP as a funding option. They did a text search and they didn't find it.
Okay.
I mean, CHIP is intended for community development.
I'll make that as a note for D&K that they need to add that.
They need to, yeah.
It is pretty new, and the webinars are just coming out. There's one tomorrow that you guys can sign up for if you're interested.
I'll be going.
Great, thanks.
I think I say I'm gonna go.
You want to start with it?
Yeah, seems likely.
So much.
Okay, thanks, Lynette. All right, so good reactions and reflections on the alternatives. And this is where what did you call it? Fork in the road. I was gonna say the rubber meets the road. The fork.
I said that last.
Oh, that's what I meant to say. I'm sure that's what I'm thinking of.
Okay, Justin finish his thought now.
Yeah.
Well, just, I poured over this stuff and my perspective is from a lot of different angles, and Joe's kind of aligned with me, I think, because we do this every day. Not so much the big, collection systems and retrofitting the entire towns or whatnot, but my experience working in neighborhoods, what landowners think when their opinion of a town sewer being proposed when they have horrible soil versus having fantastic soil. So I would just going through 4.11, my thought, obviously, my opinion about zero, do nothing. There's value. Everything we've done has value. Everything, soil testing, whether nothing happens or not. So I'm good with that. I'm happy about the benefit from that. Reflecting on what Joe said about the 12-acre site, it's the prospect of using that particular site or
You mean the side of the Edge Race, right?
it's privately owned piece of land on privately owned piece of land. I mean, that's all pretty subjective, just talking about that. And we don't know if that's even on the table. That's just pie in the sky stuff. So how do you plan for that? We don't. The Valley's Edge, I've done a few systems on that. It's some of the best soil you can have for on-site wastewater. Any of those people, if they called me up and asked me, should I hook on the sewer that's coming down, I'd say probably not. You're in your best benefit unless you were going to develop your property further. So that begs that question. These are all little lots. There's covenants, development restrictions. The lots are kind of built out. The best development potential for lots like these, in my opinion, are what the Home Act did, where you can do a duplex. Act 250 currently waives permit amendments for ADUs. That's infilling a little bit. You're not looking at, this can't be developed in a big way. And the soils are fantastic, and they have common land. And I was looking at the topography and soil maps and suggesting that they may have their own potential for a pretty good sized system. to the west of that development. And then this is all kind of segueing into my opinion that Raceway is even, and sending a pipe up Raceway is not useful in the best interest of this whole project. And Willow Lane, some of the systems that they have shown on there, doesn't matter, one of them's not shown right, but there's a couple of more newer ones on that street. I'd say 40–50% of the houses on Willow Lake already have fairly new systems. Proposing to tear up the street or directional bore or whatever and make somebody pay again, not gonna be, too popular.
And would that be true for any of these alternatives? Or are you still just talking about alternative one?
I'm on what I consider one, yeah.
Because the service area.
I'm talking about service area, thank you. I'm
Yeah.
talking about service area, and I'm just kind of making an argument saying that I don't see a lot of benefit or practicality of focusing on Raceway.
So what
I don't see it.
what your comments are helping us do is narrowing where our service area is.
I'll get to that.
Okay.
You're right. Yeah. I mean, it's just like all the houses on Raceway. I mean, the ones that I'm familiar with, the soils are fantastic. The houses they're very small lots. You're not gonna subdivide them. I mean, you can turn them into duplexes. You can do an ADU. The challenge it starts coming into state regulations is whether or not you can meet full compliance to add a bedroom or add a duplex or whatever.
But aside from growth, we set aside the growth, which is somewhat my objective as a select board person. But that aside, like those are small lots. What about they have good soils, but they have room to if those okay.
So one of my biggest beats with the state for years has been 25-foot minimum isolation from a boundary to the wastewater system, the leach field. And 25 feet is ridiculous. You've got developments all through Essex, Pinewood Manor. These lots, we have fantastic soil, you have town water. We don't need 25 feet. The state just recently, the state engineer that covers Underhill or whatever was pressed to allow a waiver. Because a variance you can't take. Variances don't allow you to increase the cycles. Waivers do, and they granted a waiver, 10 feet to a property line. So now we're starting to get some movement at the state level under certain conditions that would allow these smaller lots to potentially increase their leach field. I'm not saying they can all do it. I work for a lot of people who have a 3-bedroom house that turn it into a 2+1, and you're guaranteed a permit. So what I'm getting at is a lot of infilling can be done without a lot of money if people want to do it, if they want to do it.
Without additional public service.
In that area. I mean, that's why I was interested in that question that Joe had about, the survey of these people on Raceway.
Yeah, it'd be great. I think we need to look at that.
Because if they, I'll back up, my words or whatever, I'll retreat from what I just said. If all these people on Raceway that responded have a different opinion, they have a good reason for it.
Maybe I could pause, maybe reflections, thoughts on scenario one based on this conversation?
Well, I'm just wondering if we feel confident enough to say to Boys and King, let's just take Raceway off.
Well, that's where my opinion, you guys can digest it and whatever. My other thought here, and for instance, I know this is an engineering drawing, this is just conceptual. Showing a forest main going up Route 15 on the side of the road where there's all new sidewalks. Is this going to be, I don't know, the directional bore? My thought, biggest bang for the buck, and while potentially leaving the potential to expand later, is to help foster development on the Patro property and all the properties on the east side of Vermont 15. And instead of running the forest main up Route 15, why not run it behind all these properties, adjoining that development, you're digging in soil, you're not tearing up streets. This is, I've seen it, he knows more than I do probably, you've seen these developments where they don't run down the street, they go out the back. They go on the back.
Like down River Road, you mean like down River Road?
Instead of going up Route 15, you go in the backyard where the grades are lower and you're picking up all these wastewater via gravity from all these houses.
Practically, that
I'll ask Deidre
sounds
about that.
logical. Is it possible the reason why is because the town would then have to negotiate with
Well, that's
landowners, but that might be worth it.
a catch. That's one of the catches is whether or not, but if these all people stand to benefit and they all agree on an easement.
Right,
Connection fee, and say, hey,
Or-
give the easement, waive the connection.
right.
Well, the passive least resistance on paper and legally is to go up to 15,
Yeah.
but that's a lot more money.
What's appealing to me about what you're saying is that, well, first of all, it sounds like this is very theoretical and an analysis, and you're adding in a more practical, like what's realistic, what's really gonna happen on the ground. But if the service area is smaller, then the gap between what the middle school capacity is and what the need is would also be smaller. So why go for a need that may be not realistically
So,
fulfilled by the system?
My next
right?
thought was, in expanding upon that was, instead of running down the road again, that this. I don't know how much this is all just, it's preliminary. The practical application or whatever might be the way I'm talking about, but let's say they ran, instead of running to pick up the properties on the west side of Route 15, they run a line across the road, 90 degrees across Route 15 and do the same thing again, where you're running behind properties. It's complicated picking up, getting easements and all that.
You can get up and point if you like.
3 people say yes, and then these other 3 people say yes, and the guy in the middle says no, then you're screwed.
You're right. You're right.
Okay,
But the Tatros side is less complicated because a lot of these properties back up to Tatros. And you can put the sewer on the lot.
back, you're all in Tetro.
Right.
You must do it.
So I have a question. Before we, I don't know if we decided to abandon this or not, but before we did that, would it be worth a really specific survey to those residents to say, here's
She could find out maybe if people responded with their addresses and stuff, but.
well,
Let's
there's
start
sort
there.
of 2 separate, one is the raceway parcels may not need to be included in the service area, which is different than saying the raceway disposal site is not feasible for XYZ reason. Those aren't necessarily the same thing.
Well, you mean, it won't be true.
They might both be true,
That
but
could be a phase,
they're 2 separate issues.
that could be a phase further down the road.
Right.
Where you stub in a pipe that's headed toward that road for another day. This isn't like Bearsburg or these, Addison County, it's clay. There's plenty of towns that have terrible soil. Westford, they tried. The soil here, for the most part, is fantastic. The area, the soil is not good, it's Palmer Lane. But I don't know if you're gonna get much development potential out there because the soil, the soil's.
Because why, Steve?
So,
Why not much development down Palmer Lane?
well, there's wetlands and,
That's where their pond is that they used to use for water, right?
yeah.
So, can I jump in for a second? So, this is a good one, actually. Kate, can you flip to, page 175
Of the report?
of the PR, yeah?
Oh, do you have the appendix handy?
You mean to pull up?
Yeah, sorry. Chris is driving.
It'll work. It doesn't do it, but I can.
We can work with
Yeah,
that.
can you tell us what 175 is, just while we're pulling that up?
It is labeled, Jericho Preliminary Engineering Report, Riverside Village, Scenario 2.
And it's in the appendix.
You know what appendix number it is?
See, and You know, again, I'm just being telling me it's on page 175.
Right, there's no page number.
Page 175 of the PDF, I guess. Is
Oh,
what
the
we're talking
PDF.
about. Let me see if I can figure out where that.
Oh, so I am.
Probably there.
Yeah.
Sorry, Chris. On the spot.
No,
Greg,
I
can you
did
allow
that.
sharing?
What's that?
Can you allow sharing and I'll share it for you?
Oh, sure. That makes it easier.
Well, people make me hope, so I don't have to ask.
So we've talked about scenario one in terms of feasibility of the private site, in terms of our thoughts or suspicions on likely demand for the neighboring areas. And now we're talking a little bit about scenario two, which sends all wastewater to the middle school site. What we're looking at, the yellow outlines, are the areas of the middle school site.
Yeah. In here.
I can work with what's here. For what do you want to go, Todd?
Okay, so well, the report is clear that the school's district property probably cannot meet all needs. I think a critical question for the town, probably select board decision, is does the town wish to reserve the school district property for new community development and not for backing up existing systems? The concern about that is that you might be locked into CHIP as a funding option rather than clean water low. But
I think so. If I wasn't on this committee and I was on the select board and you came to me with that question, my question back to you as a committee would be, I want you to help me understand, right? Like, I will share that my main interest in any kind of infrastructure is because it makes developing smaller homes easier. That's my main, that's what drives me. That's what's got me on this thing. That's what got me on board with why we really, really need it. But I would look to the experts to say, I'm assuming you can't just go build an $18 million thing and only connect new homes, right? Like, it's just not, it can't be financially feasible. So I'm assuming that as you build it out, you probably want a little of this and a little of that. Like, hey, all right, we're going to connect these 15 homes because they have a need and because they'll help pay for the connection and help offset some of these growth, right? Like, those are the types of things that I would ask back to the committee if I weren't on it and had to come up with those answers.
But it might not be $18 million if you weren't distributing pipes and everything to
No,
a much
but-
larger
No,
area.
let Tom finish his thought.
well, the full whatever the full build out, I'm not even sure how that term even relates to the scenarios, but it shows 7 different collection systems. There's a lot of cost in those collection systems, and I think in some cases there's pipes on each side of the road. And I was looking at the maps, and I was trying. It was like back in the early 20th century when you had multiple electric utilities running their own power line on each utility pole. It was kind of that situation. So there's a lot of money in collection systems. And back up what Justin said, that there's a lot that you can do on existing properties to deal with issues, and you can keep your collection system cost down. And preventive maintenance can go a long ways. Our condo association on Starboard Road, we do scheduled preventive maintenance. We inspect all of our systems twice a year. Most HOAs probably don't do that, but I don't know if possibly the town might even want to consider some kind of a maintenance program for existing systems in lieu of doing a major construction project for existing systems.
I see.
But yeah, but the other question is, what is the highest and best use of the land within the triangle? I believe I looked at a permit that basically showed small single-family houses filling a good chunk of the triangle. Is that the highest and best use of that land? I mean, do we want to consider? Well, there is some multi-unit, to converting some existing buildings, but do we want to consider building higher?
We do, and we're certainly, the planning commission has been, and we've rewritten the zoning there to allow for multi-story, mixed-use development for greater density, for more housing.
That's where CHIP what's appealing about CHIP is that as the town partners with the developer, the town gains some sort of place at the table to say, you know, we'll do this, we'll get in partnership with you if you produce this kind of housing, whereas right now, it's just private property that the town is thinking about servicing with infrastructure rather than being a development partner for. Whereas CHIP says become a development partner, basically.
And the rules of CHIP say you will get a greater percentage of the new tax increment if you've got affordable housing or if you've got certain types of housing, workforce housing, etc.
I'm not sure we answered Tom's question.
I just want to throw out here, I think a critical question is, how do we want to use the school district? And assuming that we can even work with the school district, assuming we can.
Right, assuming that they want to let it.
But how, that's a precious resource, what is the best use of that?
I mean, I think Tom is asking a question. I think he's putting a question out there, and we're just not in a place to answer that question.
It's a very good question.
Except that there is a desperate need for new housing.
Yes.
So that's a fact.
If I might play, I agree and would like to play devil's advocate as well. Another approach to housing is making sure that the housing we have is maintained, so housing retention. And I don't know about the income levels of people who live in the village, if people might, you know, how much of a risk is there if someone had to replace a septic system of them going broke and losing their house? So that's an extreme example, but housing preservation is a valid housing goal, even as we also have a crisis where new housing is housing preservation alone won't do it.
Well, and that's kind of what I meant. Like, what I mean is, like, if you're building out a wastewater system, having never done it, does it make sense? Like, right, like, let's say those water people that were here. Let's say their only interest was in new homes, and they're like, all right, we're going to build this sweet new water system with all these eight new wells, and we're going to get 400,000 pounds of capacity or whatever, gallons of capacity, but we're not going to hook on to new homes. They probably wouldn't have gotten their bond, right? They probably wouldn't have, right? And so I'm assuming, like, yes, I am absolutely focused on the desperate need for new housing, personally, and I think the select board is too. But also, we have to get community buy-in for this, and I'm looking for like the logical, sensible way to build something. Right?
So,
like, I think if you're
let's make that
going
into a
to
question.
you can build. All right, I'm putting in a new leach field, and it's for these 24 homes. And no, I'm not inviting the people that are sitting right next to it. I think that we as a municipality, I don't know that we can do that.
I think a question I'm pulling out of that is how should a prospective future service be designed and allocated in order to support both existing and future homes?
And that's what I'm kind of sitting here thinking about when somebody said, Susan said, like, well, the capacity of the middle school matches up the capacity of the new number that was up on the slide. And then Tom was saying, what's the select board's goal? Is it growth or is it back, you know, is it helping people with failing systems? Yeah, and a little bit it feels like all this stuff is you without getting into it, you can't sort of plan it out. You can't like what I want to do is I want to set up a map, and when Greg takes over, I feel like should be in this room right now as a part of the conversation and saying, okay, so Greg, we got 60,000 gallons of capacity in the middle school. How much do you want? What will you do with that? Will you do 3-story houses with stores on the bottom and apartment upstairs? Okay, if you will, how many? Great. And then who in the area needs new septic or is worried about their septic? Let's sort of like parse it all out. Which I know we can't do that, but it's frustrating. I don't know. Just so many moving pieces.
Why can't we do that?
Well, we're doing a grant funded build out analysis and scenario development.
Yeah.
I might turn to Lynette at this moment and put her on the spot and say, what do you want to say to us about thinking through phasing or thinking through this balance between new development and existing development. Because I get the sense that a lot of these village projects are to serve existing development and failing systems. And Jericho, maybe more than most, has
This big chunk of land.
a big chunk of land in the middle.
So most of the villages have high aspirations for being able to do a lot of new development when they start. And then as the site limitations become better known, then the expectations of the committees need to generally be dialed back, with a couple exceptions. And so, making sure that the community is on board, either with a growth scenario or with a retention scenario or somewhere in between is really a local decision that a lot of communities need to look at. So I don't have a good answer for you, but I can, if you're interested in talking to other communities, I can maybe make some suggestions about who you could talk to.
Our struggle is valid.
I was
But
gonna
it's
say,
not. You go.
okay, one of the deliverables I think that you want from us is to give feedback on the 60% to guide the 90%.
Correct.
And I just keep coming up with saying, okay, we've heard the raceway properties are probably most likely not in that priority list. And until we map them all out with the addresses, it's probably a reasonable assumption. It's also a reasonable assumption based on the developments there that
Can we go back to the slideshow? Sorry. Oh.
yeah, that those properties, if they have failures, probably have the soil and the space to take care of themselves. And based on what we know about the people, they are probably least likely to say yes. So I'm sitting here going, if I want the 90% to like hone, my immediate reaction is to say, get them out of the service area, make the service area smaller so that the numbers become more and more realistic. And then we can potentially take what Peter was describing as a way to like further hone. Because if we don't get the service area right, the rest of it is also gonna not be right.
Right, I think we can, it sounds like what I'm hearing, we can drop option 0, else we would have a wastewater task force. Communicate to whatever.
That's but what.
And we can drop option 1, which is the rate, or which one was
Yeah.
Wait, option 1 was the raceway one.
I have one question before we drop that.
Yes, but Justin said do nothing, we've already gotten a lot of value, and I was like, option 0 shouldn't be called do nothing. Option 0 should be called
Stop
we've
here.
done enough.
Stop here.
Yeah, stop here. It's not do nothing. Look at us. We're here in a year. It's not do nothing. So forget, I don't like that.
You're
Okay,
right.
anyway,
You're right.
but you're right, we're not gonna.
Do not
We're gonna
proceed.
take that one anyway, but you're right.
Maybe. Not that we know that yet.
Anyways,
Anyway, okay, but option 1, yes, seems like
so
not preferred.
And option 2,
I have a question about option 1. Justin, so for the folks along Raceway, they have great soil, but do they have space to put in a backup to replace their system?
I could probably guarantee that without even going out there.
That they all probably have space to do.
This
Okay.
cookie cutter.
Okay.
I think they have
soil.
backups.
Okay. Okay. Great.
They're new, a lot of it's newer.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we have that data in the PER. I don't want to dive into it right now, but we should all take a peek at that. No.
But it's, well, when you have a number up here, a statistic saying that there's a number of systems that are 40 years old or older, that's a good sign. That means they have good site conditions. I often find that to be true, unless somebody's sewer has been dumping in the stream their entire life, which is rare, but it's usually a good testament to the soil.
But Tom, what do you think?
There is or was, and maybe Lynette could update me on this, but there's a state pollution abatement grant, 35% state grant for discharges of untreated wastewater to both waters of the state. But I have heard 0 claims of discharges of raw sewage to waters of the state until in this area. So
So Raceway's off the table at the moment.
Off the table for the moment.
as a service area and also seems like as a disposal site.
I think we need to dig into the service area question a little bit more. Maybe even do some outreach. Or first we go back to our survey, we go back to the PER, and then.
Yeah, I'm not comfortable we're making any decisions tonight. I mean, we just got this on Tuesday. I think we've heard a lot of really good information, but I think we still need to get more information to definitively say what's on or off the table.
Yeah, so
Any
maybe
questions? Keep going.
work through wherever, I don't know where we're looking at now, but.
This is great. I mean, we're digging right in. It's good to be reminded that we don't need to make decisions tonight, but we're identifying the types of decisions we could make. Does the service area need to change? Does this parcel make sense? Etc. So, scenario 2 is only using the middle school site. It is not one of the recommended scenarios in the PER because it's insufficient capacity.
To meet the needs of this space, but we might be saying we don't want a chunk of space.
Okay, got it. So I'm gonna say scenario 2 might work if less area is served.
Yeah, right.
Or it has conflict
Right,
that
we delete that.
to prioritize community development.
Or we decided. Yeah.
And this is where I think the development scenarios we're going to be getting are going to be really helpful because we should be able to tie development scenarios to different phases to say, okay, this will get us this much, and this is what that would look like. It's where that surface area could be.
What do we anticipate the schedule difference between that work and the 90% work? Will be able to feed?
We're gonna try and coordinate them.
Well, right now, I think I don't want to be overly optimistic, but I think the timing. I think it's good timing because I think we have this 60% information that we really need to do that scenario development. We just have to get that consultant on board as quickly as we can, which we're working on doing. And then I just don't know what their schedules are going to be like and how soon they can get the work done.
So Kate, as we look at our limits on this, and I don't know if DK's done this, but again, what comes to me looking at the parcel maps is looking at service area for new homes is larger areas that have soils that are not good, but they have enough real estate for the quarter acre density. So where are those lots? You know, just by looking at this, like a Palmer Lane. All right, now I don't know what it's like up there, but you said there's bad soils.
It's lowland, yeah.
Is it floodplain? So
It's
where I'm going with that is this:
Wetlands.
this is me renew it because planning commission gave us quarter acre zoning now, or in some cases none. Those are the areas that we were, especially with the bigger lots, we want to really have DK look at the soils a little bit there. Look at the floodplain. What are the limitations and how many homes can we get out of that if we make it attractive by putting a sub in for it? You know, we put that service there for someone who wants to buy that lot instead of develop it.
So I would add this to the development, to the other study that we're gonna hire a consultant to do is to, maybe it's both. They talk to each other.
No.
But okay, I hear your question though. Yeah.
Because if you put a 14 acre piece of raceway, that's a really nice stand-alone piece. You have 14 acres, very little, no zoning requirements. The only thing stopping you from just putting in all the house you can in there is Act 250. You know, Act 250 will hit you on that.
Well, it might be a tier 1B.
It's not. I vetted it. What we did we went through this, Susan, recently with another piece just close to this, because the 10-acre rule still holds. If it's over 10 acres and you're developing it, you're active.
But that's specifically for the Old Mill property.
No, this is for these pieces. We actually got a hold of it.
Tier 1B has an exemption for 50 or fewer homes, but if that's 50 or fewer homes on 11 acres, it still triggers Act 250.
10 acres or greater. If you were 9.9, we even play with
Well,
off an acre.
Yeah. So I want to do a time check. We've got good momentum and I don't want to break it, but look to the chair. I'll look to the chair.
Yeah, can we get to I thought at some point on one of those slides you had like
Next,
Or maybe I was thinking of the conclusion of the,
yeah, the report.
is that what I was thinking of?
It is, I think, yeah, Chris, would you mind scooting down to the slide that I think is called next steps?
Yeah,
From
6.0 is.
This is from,
Am I going too far?
no, next. Potential next steps from page 44 of the draft PER section 6.
Did you wrap in the meeting up?
I think we're starting
This is
to,
us getting to some things that we need to start thinking of, and I think to Chris's point, we may not be ready to answer tonight, but we probably need to start thinking about what we should be thinking about.
Okay, can I say one more thing, just in the previous conversation about
Yeah.
the capacity, who gets what and not. On page 17 of the PER, the units is the 225 future is the number, which I think is a ridiculous number for that area, especially if we chop off around. I'm thinking about the capacity of the school isn't enough for the area that we're talking about. And if we sort of lop off, not this in this moment, kind of lop off Raceway, and then now we're talking about a smaller area, and that future growth of 225 seems very high to me. And that 225 is equal to the middle school space, the connection you made about
The capacity.
the capacity to match up. But if that 225 is high, let's say it's only, we're looking at 165, that gives us 60 units of people like me who have dicey septic systems who want to tap in. So I'm just making the argument that I think the middle school might be enough for both future growth and bringing people on board who are in the area.
Except that I think the commercial projection is low, and I think that.
Oh, I didn't think of that.
With greater density construction on Teacher's property, I think we could do better than 160, but who knows? I mean, yeah.
And that goes back to the idea of, okay, let's start pointing to things and divvying up areas and counting gallons.
And phasing. But let's say
Yes.
160, 225 feels high, 200, it's not gonna happen all at once.
Yeah, I think everything that I've heard people say in terms of scenarios we might want to go may all totally play out, and that may be what we do. But I just don't feel like we just don't know yet. So I don't want us to get in our minds that's. I think it's good to sort of be thinking that what these things are, but I don't want to.
Oh, we decided.
Yeah.
Here's what we're doing.
Right, and so then we focus this one thing and it doesn't work out, like, oh, what have we done now?
What's the timing of the 90% report?
Well, so that's what I wanted to say next. I chatted with Kate a little bit earlier. And I think we're at an opportunity, we've done a great job pushing Du Bois and King to get to the 60% on time. And I think these are important questions that we need a little bit more time on. And I think we can kind of back off on that pressure and they can kind of wait for us to give them some direction.
Right, because in your animation, you were saying that the PER was kind of leaning towards scenario 1 and 3. And this conversation seems like that's not the way we're leaning much at all. So that leaning needs to be
worked
refined.
out.
Yeah.
One thing I'm convinced that I want as part of the 90% is a recommendation based on all of our input and all these questions on the phasing. I'm very interested in that.
Costs, opinion and probable costs relative to the phase.
For each phase.
Exactly.
Phase one, here's a good phase one, it's gonna cost you $5 million.
And it'll get you this many gallons.
Right, and this many houses.
That's what I really want out of it. But I think it's worth considering some of these questions that it seemed like EPA are asking us. These questions, or they're not all questions, some of them are go get your permission from school.
Yeah.
The second one, I didn't understand until I asked a different way. But in the PER, they talk about doing a bunch of 6,500 or smaller collection sites because doing a bigger one triggers this whole other more complexity, more time, more money. And I think number 2 is saying, let's confirm that we can do it that way and build 4 or 5 of these little 6,500 things, and that they don't just count as one big
Nope,
one.
one big thing, right?
Because that really, it feels a little like, oh, no, this isn't
This is unrelated to that one over there.
55,000 one, no, it's six over it.
So, I think the only one they're talking about with a potential indirect discharge was a site, in front of the school.
But it says there from them,
Yeah,
verified with state regulators.
they mentioned, yeah, so that's kind of a,
Covering their.
Yeah.
let's call, instead of a to-do list, sometimes I like to call it a could-do list. I think it's a pretty good could-do list. It's worth reaching out to DEC on 1 and 2. Maybe Lynette could help us with that. Interested in this group's take on 3 and 4. So item 3 suggests that we could reach out to landowners of other potential disposal sites, whether those are undeveloped areas with potential capacity or previously permitted systems, of which there are a couple, or previously permitted sites, of which there are a couple. So that is some outreach that we could do kind of quietly or kind of respectfully.
But I feel like the priority outreach with landowners would be the middle school.
Right, and who else is it?
There are a number of other sites. There are probably four other sites. I would have to look at the map.
But the middle.
Other than Raceway.
Likely to be the linchpin.
Yeah, we need a,
I think
we need a plan on how we're gonna do that, and I think it's time to start.
Yeah.
Personally, I think
Actually coming and talking.
actually doing it.
So before or in parallel to talking with other people at other prospective sites.
I don't know if I care about the other sites. Right, because what I'm asking.
But once the middle school says, oh yeah, yep, good, you're all set. We meet, right, okay, so now we've crossed the hurdle.
Right.
But now we're going to the next piece.
But then the next piece is, all right, well, there's 8 of them. And then you'd have like, okay, well, maybe there's 8 potential sites, and in order to do the full build out or the full phase, you need 4 of those. Like, those don't seem as critical as the giant.
Need to do test pits at those other sites too. So it would be a preliminary conversation, exploration, deciding whether or not to ask for permission to do test pits, receiving or not receiving the permission to do so.
Yeah.
Well, between now and our next meeting, I agree. Between now and our next meeting, I'd encourage people to think, would it be worth some very preliminary conversations with owners of those other sites? No paperwork, just some neighborly outreach at the same time as getting a little more serious about the middle school site. Because I hear you, it is central.
Yep.
Let's just think about that for our next meeting, just so we can kind of keep things moving.
And how would the interaction with the school district work? That's specific.
That's what you come up with a perfect plan and get us in.
Because, well, I mean, who would it be from this group, and how would that interface be? And then the other thing I was thinking is, would we want to incentivize is maybe not the right word, but remind the middle school that a real benefit from this would be much better playing fields than they currently have, which having put it.
Yeah.
Well, because what they have now is not very good, and what they're going to get would be new fields. So they ought to be.
New kids.
And right, and
That's
that's what I was thinking.
More jobs.
But in terms of like next year, you've got like, hey, you got new fields.
Right.
Yeah.
And kids in the next 10, 15 years, but tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm still wondering why is 2.5 feet raising a problem in talking about field. Like that would actually be really nice.
So the fourth one here, I think this is kind of what we were circling in around in our previous conversation. Review PER and landowner survey to prioritize the town's wastewater needs for existing properties and new housing connections to inform a phasing plan. That's some work we can do as a committee, as a task force.
I mean, I guess I would just add to that to inform a phasing plan and to potentially revise the service area.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't.
And identify and potential disposal sites.
So that's the next steps from the PER. I've gotten a weather report on those and what you feel like doing. Could we have the next slide? Then there's us. What will we do next? We're penciled in with the select board on February 5th. There's clearly a lot to chew on here. We need to probably need to do some outreach. I wonder if it would be feasible with everybody's commitments and schedules to have another work session on this before the next select board meeting in order to create a recommendation. Another alternative is to postpone to a different select board meeting. I don't want any of this to feel rushed for this group, for the public.
We need a recommendation to maybe after meeting to get what would the recommendation be or not be?
We would be.
Or to be around.
What DNK should study, what DNK should flesh out, which scenario or alternative, which wastewater disposal alternative DNK should flesh out as it completes the PER.
The select board.
They're the ones that direction.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we as a task force want to give a really
Hey, select board, please have them do these things.
Yeah.
Do we anticipate having more new information to process, or do we anticipate just spending more time processing the information that we already have?
I think
Excellent question. I think processing the information we already have. Though we're meeting with John Ashley this week, our engineer. We're going to raise some of these questions.
that would be interesting to hear.
I would imagine
What the spatial
they would be able to quickly say, if you take raceway off, then the capacity need drops to this. I would think they must already know that.
I think they have that math available. And I think the other question is really understanding what's the likely demand in that area given soil conditions and age of systems and other factors, other community factors.
I feel like we should shoot for the February 5th select board meeting, even if we don't know exactly what we want to say. We have got the 60% PER, so there is certainly something to say. Even if it's we've got all this information and this is where we are.
Even if we're not ready to ask them, please tell DNK to do this.
Right.
Just here's where we're at. We talked for 2 hours about
The
stuff.
presentation tonight was great, and that would be great to put that out there in the public domain.
Yeah.
Where people go to select board meetings, watch it,
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit more streamlined for a bigger audience, but that was great. That was a great summary.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I appreciated it. It helped me
It's a hard document to read.
Really,
It helped me,
Installation.
it pulled out the big big picture. Yep.
Okay. So we want to keep that date with the select board. Do we want to talk together as a group again before that? And are people available?
you do want to talk before that, we can.
Yep.
Even just to hone in on what we want to say to the select board.
Yeah. So one date that a few of us looked at that could work is Wednesday, January 28th at 4 p.m.
Yes.
What's the question?
Are folks available?
You'll all be home and
You'll be home by then?
Wednesday, the
if
28th.
I'm home by then, I'm going on vacation, so I'm coming back 28th.
Right.
Alright.
Too.
So,
January 28th?
yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't seem fair to hop off a plane or
We don't
a
need
cruise
to.
ship.
No, it'll be
I won't be able
Maybe
to.
9 hours in a car.
Trust.
And 12 hours you in there.
Oh, that's
28th.
I want to know more about that.
I can't do the 28th. I could do the
Okay.
29th.
How about 29th?
29th.
29th.
That's a Thursday, and this room is available.
That's where our
On the Cosmos.
Yeah, full passport for me on the 29th. And,
Would 4 p.m. on that day work for folks? 4:30. Are you gonna be in another time zone?
It'll work.
On the 29th. Oh, I thought earlier in the day tended to work for you. Sorry. 5.
I was gonna say 5.
5 is better for me.
Sure. Yeah. I may have to leave a little early. I might have another night meeting that night at Shelburne. We won't.
You have to believe.
That's something I appreciate.
But we
Yeah.
Since it's an extra meeting, we could zero in, we can have one agenda.
As long as we have a set,
Yeah.
You know, maybe we're on after you talk with John,
Mhm.
you know, you can, the two of you will have a really good idea of, okay.
Yeah.
And then we can kind of really have a narrow focus and.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm wondering which of the working groups would be best to maybe chew on this a little bit, and maybe they could have something to share at the meeting on the 29th, but it could be that those people in those working groups aren't gonna be around, so they aren't gonna work anyway.
Yeah. All right, well, let's
Yeah.
think about, I'll work with Eric on an agenda for that next meeting and take ideas. In the meantime, I've noted a bunch of our questions. I don't want to rush us to the end here. But what else would we like to discuss or accomplish tonight? We do need to talk about about outreach. Let's talk about that at our next meeting. Public outreach. One idea is that we could talk with the stakeholders that were listed on the slide earlier, and just sort of use the 60% PER as a touch point. Say, hey, we got this. Here's what it says. We're interested in your thoughts, and just as a way to keep the conversation going, which is different than a front porch forum post and a handout summarizing the PER, etc. But I think we should do both, even though it's a lot of work for them.
What about the middle school?
Middle school outreach.
Outreach, like how, like Chris said, like who, when, how, what?
I think we should, I don't know what her.
And I guess the timing, I guess the real question is, we want that to happen before February 5th? And if not, why not? And if yes, then who's gonna do that? That's really quick. That's like now, basically.
Well,
I wonder if we reach out to Edie for any of those questions. We probably swamped right now. I know, but she
chose to be the board chair.
And the first 2 weeks, of the legislature are busy, but content-wise, it's a lot of updates from
Yeah.
state agencies and stuff. And so it might be a little less content heavy.
In the front lines, though.
She doesn't have to be one to answer the question, though.
She on Ways and Means,
To just say, what do we do?
A task force, that's all,
Oh.
right?
Well,
She's the co-chair.
right?
Yeah, I think she's
Respect.
stepping back a little bit. So she told me that, anyway.
But we can ask, and we can ask. That is the right person to ask, I think.
I could, you want me to, I can reach out to her.
Sure.
I mean, I know her.
Will
And
you CC Chris Sheehan, who's been in contact with her
Yeah,
primarily,
Yes, okay.
and I guess me too, and Eric.
Yes. Oh,
Can you ACC the whole thing?
Yes.
And the specific question is just how to
How to
grow
initiate that.
this.
Who and how, is it Kevin? Is it the principal, or is it the school board, and who on the school board specifically, and is it a meeting for the school board, or is it a one-on-one conference?
And I wonder if in parallel or in the same email, we should loop back with the facilities director who helped us so much. As I wouldn't want him, I'd want him to hear it from us, not from someone else, that the report is drafted.
And just give them a heads up on which direction.
Yeah.
Like what's going on. Yeah.
You want, maybe we do that separately. We'll do that.
Okay.
Work.
I mean, I think the last thing on the agenda was the subgroup report out, which I don't know, I mean, I think I can give you the quick update on the finance and funding. We talked about the PER.
Outreach, the website went live today.
The
The Wastewater passport website.
Really?
Yeah, like 2 hours ago.
Like on the Jericho website?
Yeah.
Well, that's a huge update. You see
Uh,
it still again, because that's what the agenda item was.
Yeah.
If the funding subcommittee wants more help, I'm willing to serve on that.
Thank you.
Cool.
We left
Sure.
that email hanging, but yeah. I'm attending the CHIP seminars. It's a three webinar series on CHIP. Starting tomorrow.
Oh, is each one different?
What time is the one doing the more?
2 maybe?
Oh, I already got 2 things coming tomorrow.
Hey, are we set with material to have at the January 20th meeting?
We're not. We're going to have a
Progress.
suggestion box.
Okay.
We're going to have a little table tent? Do you have a toilet?
I forgot my toilet.
Got
I
your
was
toilet.
back to my desk. I was so excited to bring it, but I got excited about.
Oh,
You need a toilet. Yes, that's the plan.
Okay.
And you're gonna bring it for each tent.
Well, that was the discussion. I should have run the agenda.
So the engineering group may have missed out on this one. We may need to bring them up to speed regarding why Bill might come to a meeting.
Pull up the video.
Eric, okay, what is it? Eric bought a potty.
No,
Peter bought a potty. And it's going to be a decoration to keep things lighthearted and also be a place to receive suggestions and questions, which will be. There's also going to be a poster showing the study area to help people wrap their minds around it. And we're going to try and pull together a handout that's like a very simplified FAQ that has a diagram of the process. We'll do our best on that. There's a pretty limited staff time to work on that, but we'll have some sort of handout.
Good. Something.
Oh,
I was just gonna ask, is there like the one I can get in, notice for the chip? Somehow?
yeah, I'll send it to you.
I've got another thing going too, I can ask you anything.
Okay,
Yeah, it's only an hour. I might try to go to that.
I'll send it to all y'all.
Say it to everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I initially said no, and then I realized it was an hour, and then like, oh.
Right, I was like, I'm not doing that. I want to go now. I will say one thing: it's very hard to get a word in edgewise with this group, which I think speaks to the power of the group. I feel like we're really. Are we recording? Are we done recording? No,
We're still
whatever.
recording.
I think this is a really smart group with lots of good ideas, and it's really exciting to work with you guys and have try and work to like find a spot to get a question in or a word in because everyone's so thoughtful and on the whole thing. So I think we're a good group. I'm really excited about this.
You're here.
Yeah, passion.
Yep.
Love it.
Peter, with that, we good? Want to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I will second it.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Me adjourn.
Thank you for
everybody.
coming, Lynette and Michael.
Hey,